He was just a quiet guard in borrowed armor, mocked, ignored, and forgotten. But when a sniper's bullet aimed for the alien princess, he did something no one expected. He took the shot. Now, wounded and hunted, he's thrown into a galaxy of secrets, ancient prophecies, and a bond that could change everything. What if the most ordinary human was never ordinary at all? If you're new here, then please subscribe this channel and show thumbs up by liking the video. Now let's move to this wonderful story. Kyan stood alone at the edge of the grand corridor. His boots rested on polished white stone, and his armor, borrowed and too loose, creaked with every shift in weight. The corridor sparkled under floating lanterns, but no one paid attention to him. He was stationed at the silent perch, a place they assigned only to those who didn't matter. The other guards walked in pairs, their uniforms gleaming, their backs straight. Kyan tried to stand just as tall, but his chest plate sagged slightly and his helmet had a faint dent near the left temple. He didn't mind. He was used to being invisible. The Varani officers barely spoke to him. When they did, it was only to give short orders or careless glances. Once, earlier in the day, a tall alien with gold ribbons on his sleeve had muttered to another, "Is that the human replacement? Looks like he found his armor in a scrapyard." The other had laughed and Kyan had simply looked away. It didn't matter. He wasn't here to impress. He was here because someone else had fallen sick, and he had said yes when no one else did. The rest of the guards saw it as a joke, but Kyan took it seriously. Today was different. The corridor buzzed with a quiet kind of tension. Diplomats, military leaders, and galactic envoys moved in perfect lines, their robes flowing like rivers. This was the day of the High Accord, an event meant to end the old war between the Human Federation and the Varani Alliance. After 50 years of uneasy silence and border disputes, they had come to speak peace. And walking in the center of this procession was her, Princess Nureya. Kyan had never seen someone like her. Her skin shimmered like wet stone under moonlight, and her eyes glowed silver, calm and deep. She wore no crown, no armor, just a flowing cloth that moved like wind around her. The corridor went silent when she entered. Even the most hardened warriors bowed their heads. Kyan didn't move, but his breath caught in his throat as she passed. She did not look at him. She didn't need to. Her presence alone made him feel like he belonged to something larger. He stood straighter after that, hands behind his back, eyes scanning every shadow. The silent perch had no cover, no glory, but Kyan knew what his father once told him. The place no one watches is where danger hides. He remembered it clearly, and so he watched. The summit hall doors opened minutes later. The crowd poured, in some laughing, some whispering, some arguing over seating. Floating cameras blinked red above their heads. Kyan didn't flinch. He had one job: stand, watch, report. He did not expect action. No one did. This was supposed to be history, not danger. He scanned slowly, calmly. An alien boy tugged on his mother's sleeve. A diplomat wiped his forehead with a golden cloth. Normal things. Then out of the corner of his eye, Kyan saw it. A shimmer. Not in the crowd, but high on the left balcony. It moved like heat over metal, like the air above a desert. His body tensed. He remembered that shimmer from training on Vega 4. Sniper cloaks, used in war zones banned by the Accords. He squinted. Most would miss it, but Kyan had spent hours studying these distortions. He traced the line from the shimmer to the main stage. The angle pointed one way, toward Princess Nureya. His heart jumped. He didn't wait. He moved. "Stop," a guard near him shouted. But Kyan didn't stop. He pushed through the crowd. Someone yelled. A camera turned toward him. Then, a sound like thunder cracked through the air. Pain exploded in his side. It burned hot and deep, stealing his breath. He staggered, but did not fall. He threw himself forward, diving toward the princess. She turned just as he collided with her. Another blast rang out. It struck the wall where she had been standing. They hit the floor together. Her breath rushed from her chest as Kyan's blood soaked the polished stone beneath them. Guards ran in. Alarms blared, the crowd screamed and scattered, but Kyan could not move. His body felt heavy. The fire in his side faded into cold. He looked up. Princess Nerea was above him, her hands shaking as she pressed them against his wound. Her face was close. Her lips trembled. Her silver eyes were wide. "You saved me," she whispered, voice barely above a breath. He tried to speak, but only blood came out. His vision blurred. Sounds became distant. Then he heard her voice again, this time louder, stronger, filled with command. "This human is under my protection," she said. "I owe him my life." His body was lifted onto a stretcher. The faces around him spun like shadows. News drones zoomed closer, capturing every angle. In that moment, Kyan was no longer invisible. The galaxy watched. And everything had just changed. Kyan woke to silence. Not the silence of rest, but the heavy, floating quiet of a place that did not belong to humans. Above him, the ceiling moved like liquid, glowing blue and soft. The air felt warm and smelled faintly of clean stone and old starlight. His body floated in a pod filled with a thick, healing gel that wrapped him in gentle pressure. He couldn't feel pain, but he remembered it. Sharp heat in his ribs. The thunder crack of a weapon. Her voice. His eyes opened slowly. He tried to sit up, but the gel held him still. A soft hiss filled the air, and the pod opened. Cool air touched his skin. Slowly, the fluid drained, and he sat up, coughing once. His chest was bandaged with smooth silver wraps that shimmered like frost. Two tall figures in white robes stood nearby. Their skin was pale and smooth, their faces calm. They spoke in the musical language of the Varani. One of them noticed he was awake and turned to him with a small smile. Her eyes glowed a deep violet. "You are safe now," she said in careful English. She made sure of it. Kyan blinked. "Who?" The healer nodded toward the doorway. Princess Nerea entered quietly. She wore a long robe of soft silver, her hair tied back, her face calm, but unreadable. She walked without guards. No crown, no armor. Just the same calm presence he remembered. Kyan sat straighter. His ribs hurt, but he pushed through it. "Princess," he said, voice dry. She held up a hand. "No titles," she said softly. "Just Nerea here." She handed him a small glass. The liquid inside sparkled faintly. "Drink," she said. "It will help your throat." He drank. It was sweet and cold. Within seconds, the dryness faded. His head cleared. She sat beside the pod, folding her hands in her lap. "You jumped in front of a sniper's shot," she said. Kyan looked away. "I didn't think. I just saw the shimmer. I recognized the distortion." "No one else saw it," she said. "Not my guards, not my advisors, not even the cameras, just you." He shrugged, uncomfortable with her gaze. "I'm just a soldier, ma'am. That's what I was there for." "No," she replied. "You weren't even supposed to be there. You were sent as a last-minute replacement. And yet, you acted before anyone." Kyan felt his jaw tighten. It was true. He wasn't part of the original team. His name wasn't even on the summit list. He had filled in when another guard got sick. "The galaxy wants to know who you are now," Nerea said. He blinked, unsure what to say. "Why?" She stood and walked to the wall. With a wave of her hand, a floating screen lit up. Dozens of news feeds appeared. Each one showed the same image. Kyan, bloody and broken, arms wrapped around her as the blast struck behind them. "They call you the Peace Guard," she said. "Some call it bravery. Others think it was planned. Some believe you were placed there to make humans look like heroes." Kyan shook his head. "None of that's true." "I know," she said, "but the truth doesn't matter to them. Only the story does." The screen changed again. Now it showed human leaders speaking on news channels. Some praised him, calling him a symbol of unity. Others questioned his past. One man said, "We don't even know where this guard trained." Kyan looked down. That part was true. He didn't come from a top academy. His scores were average. He was passed over for special units more times than he could count. "Why didn't they send me home?" he asked quietly. Nerea looked at him for a long time before answering. Because I asked them not to. He looked up, surprised. Why? She walked closer, her voice lower now. Because the sniper, he wasn't from outside. He wasn't one of our enemies. Kyan's breath caught. He came from inside my own council, she said. Someone tried to stop this piece, and if you went back to Earth, they might have finished what they started. You think I'm still a target? He said. I know you are, she replied. And so am I, but together we may still survive. The room felt colder, heavier, but it wasn't just fear in the air. It was something else. Respect. Kyan looked down at his bandaged chest. I'm just a guard, he said again. But this time his voice was softer. Nerea placed her hand gently on his shoulder. No, she whispered. You are something more now. As she left, another figure entered. The healer who had spoken earlier. Her name was Seer Maiden. She carried a small crystal in her hand, glowing faintly. You feel different, she said. Your body reacts to Varani energy. Kyan frowned. I'm human. Yes, she said. But your blood holds a mark, ancient and quiet. Something we have not seen in 1,000 years. She showed him the crystal. It pulsed gently near his chest. You may be more connected to this piece than you know, she whispered. Kyan didn't understand. Not yet. But a storm had already begun, and he was no longer standing on the outside. The shuttle flew through darkness, silent and unmarked. Its surface was coated in old cargo rust, its engines dimmed to avoid detection. It looked like scrap, just another forgotten vessel drifting between systems. But inside, Kyan and Princess Nerea sat in silence, hidden beneath worn blankets and breathing slow to calm the growing tension between them and the stars. 3 days had passed since they left the healing ship. Nerea had ordered their exit in secret. Only a few trusted allies knew. Even the shuttle's pilot, a rough-voiced human named Tovin, believed he was moving old tech to a recycling yard. He didn't ask questions. That was why Nerea trusted him. Kyan sat near a small viewport, watching the stars blur into trails. His bandages were tighter now, and he moved slower, but the wound was healing. What bothered him more was the silence, not the quiet of space, but the silence from people who once looked through him, now looking at him like he was a threat or a symbol. He didn't know which one was worse. Nerea finally spoke. We're close. To what? Kyan asked. The Moon of Ver, she said. It's called the Hollow Wind by my people. It's dead mostly. Abandoned after a mining collapse 2 centuries ago, but it holds something ancient beneath its surface. Something my ancestors feared. Something they tried to forget. Kyan looked at her. And you think it's connected to what's happening now? I don't just think, she said. I believe. When they landed, the airlock hissed open with a soft groan. Cold air rushed inside. The ground outside was gray, cracked like dry skin. Broken spires of stone reached for the sky. There were no birds, no wind, no sound, only dust. Nerea stepped out first, dressed in armor shaped with soft curves and glowing threads of light. Kyan followed, wrapped in a heavier coat, his footsteps crunching softly behind hers. They moved through the rocks, past rusted mining towers and collapsed tunnels. Nothing moved. Even the stars above looked smaller here. They reached a wide ridge. Beneath it, a narrow path wound down into a cave, hidden from above. Nerea led, him slowly. Her voice was low, nearly lost in the stillness. My mother sent me here as a child, she said. To train, to be alone, to face the cold. But I always knew there was something more, something buried. As they entered the cave, the air grew warmer, thicker. The stone walls shimmered faintly, marked with strange lines that pulsed like veins under skin. The deeper they went, the brighter the lines became. Then Kyan stepped on something. A small tile that clicked under his boot. A wave of light shot across the floor. Symbols lit up, flooding the cave with a soft blue glow. The walls came alive, shifting and whispering like breath. Kyan stumbled back. Nurea stared at him. "You activated it." "I didn't mean to," he said. "No one ever has," she replied. "Not even me." A low hum filled the space. Then the floor beneath them began to move. Slowly, silently, a circle in the stone sank and opened. A wide door appeared where nothing had been. Beyond it, a chamber waited, dark, wide, and glowing. With blue and silver light, they stepped inside together. The room felt old, but not broken. The air thrummed with a soft vibration, like music without sound. Floating machines drifted through the space, shaped like seeds of metal and glass. They whispered in ancient Varani, then shifted to English. "Royal line detected," one of them said. "Human anomaly confirmed. Welcome, chosen ones." Kyan looked at Nurea. "Chosen?" She said nothing. Her face was pale. Her hands trembled. This can't be right," she whispered. "It was just a story." The machines moved around Kyan, scanning him with soft lights. The floor responded to his steps. Each time he walked, the chamber lit up brighter. In the center of the chamber rose a platform. Above it floated a sphere of light, pulsing slowly, like a living heart. Kyan reached out. The sphere unfolded like petals. Inside was a vision. 2 figures, one Varani and one human, standing side by side as the galaxy burned around them. They held the same sphere. Around them, fleets fell, cities cracked. But from the fire, a new light rose. Nurea stared at it, her voice barely a breath. "It's real. The prophecy." Kyan's heart pounded. "What does it mean?" "It means," she said, "that your act back at the summit wasn't just brave, it was written. That we were meant to meet, meant to stand together." He stepped back. "I'm not special. I didn't ask for this." "That's why you were chosen," she said gently. "Because you did what was right, without needing to be anyone else." They sat in the soft glow of the chamber, surrounded by the hum of forgotten history. Kyan had come here as a guard, a fill-in, a nobody. But now the chamber sang to him, and the moon of hollow wind breathed once again. The deeper Kyan and Nurea moved into the vault, the more the place began to feel alive, not in the way a machine buzzes with energy, but in the way an old forest breathes when no one is watching. The walls glowed faintly with flowing symbols that shifted with every step Kyan took. The floor pulsed under his feet, not with force, but with memory. It felt like walking through something ancient that had only just remembered it was still here. Nurea walked beside him in silence. She had stopped trying to explain what was happening. There were no more answers, only discovery. The machines that floated around them had gone quiet after welcoming them. They hovered like guardians of forgotten truths. Kyan paused before a large circular platform that rose from the ground like a stone flower. It was smooth and gray, with a single groove running through its middle. He placed his hand on it without thinking. The platform responded, rising slowly. From its center, a light grew, warm and soft like sunrise. A sound began to echo, low, deep, not spoken but felt. A voice emerged, not male, not female. It was both, or neither. It spoke in a language Kyan didn't know, yet somehow understood. 2 voices in one breath, 2 paths in one step. "Welcome to the Chamber of Binding." Nurea took a sharp breath. Kyan looked at her, but she only nodded, urging him forward. The light in the center of the platform split. It formed 2 shapes, holograms, images made of glowing dust. One was clearly Varani, tall, graceful, silver-eyed like Nurea. The other was human, and though the face was different, the posture was familiar. Brave, humble. Both stood together, facing a burning sky. The voice continued, echoing through the chamber. Long ago, before borders, before fear, there was a bond, not of blood, but of choice. A bond between the stars and the soil, the Varani and the human. One would see the path, the other would walk it. Kyan felt the air grow warmer. The chamber responded to his breath, Each time he exhaled, lights moved along the walls like rivers. "What is this place?" he whispered. Nurea stepped beside him. "It's not a vault," she said. "It's a memory." The human figure in the light moved. It knelt beside a wounded Varani and placed a hand on their chest. A wave of light spread across the scene, turning fire to calm. The voice returned. "When the last war tore the stars apart, the bond was broken. Those who remembered hid this place. They sealed the story, waiting for it to awaken. Not by force, but by action. Not by command, but by sacrifice." Kyan stared. "This isn't about politics," he said. "This is about something deeper." Nurea nodded. "This chamber doesn't care about titles. It reacts to truth." Kyan stepped closer to the center. The light grew stronger. The human figure turned and faced him directly. Its features shifted slightly, becoming more familiar. Not identical to Kyan, but close enough that it felt like looking into a long-lost mirror. "They knew," Kyan whispered. "They knew someone like me would come." "No," said the voice, gentler now. "Not someone like you. You." The walls of the chamber lit up all at once. Symbols danced in perfect rhythm, forming a spiral of memory and sound. The ceiling, above them, cracked open, revealing a map of the stars. Lines connected distant worlds like threads of fate. At the center of the map glowed a single point, the moon of Ver. The voice continued. "The bond has awakened. It cannot be undone. The chosen human has stepped forward and the royal line has answered. Together you will shape what follows. Whether it heals or burns, the voice beneath stone has spoken." Then the chamber dimmed. The light faded. The platform sank slowly back into the floor. Kyan turned to Nurea. "What does this mean for us?" She looked at him with eyes full of quiet storms. "It means we are no longer just witnesses. We are part of the story now." Outside, the cold wind of Ver whispered through the broken rocks. Above them, the stars watched closely. Somewhere, hidden eyes waited for the moment they could strike again. But inside the chamber, something new had begun. Not war, not peace, but something older, something stronger. The voice beneath stone had called, and Kyan had answered. For the first time in his life, Kyan did not feel invisible. He did not feel borrowed or temporary. He felt chosen, not because of a name or a title, but because he had acted when no one else did. Because he had cared when others had looked away. As they walked back through the glowing hall side by side, the air hummed around them. The bond was no longer just a story. It was alive. And somewhere, in the silence between stars, change was already coming.